If you hated LGBTQIA plus characters, would you write this any different?
No,
I wouldn't. Every single thing he does is a caricature. They're simultaneously the repressed minority and fabulous and unable to struggle whatsoever.
I don't know if you realize this, Doc, but the X-Men are no longer a metaphor for people that feel like outsiders or maybe minorities and stuff like that. It's only a metaphor if you're part of the LGBT community. Nothing is a better example of that than Dazzler #1 from Jason Loo and Rafael Luriario. And this thing was an abomination, probably the worst one yet.
There's been this weird ongoing initiative to make Dazzler the gay icon. They've tried to turn her for many, many years into Lady Gaga. And now they've turned her into Taylor Swift. There's this weird thing where all of their fans become super fans that want to be her. And it's really creepy. They're just substituting her in as whatever the current ultra pop star that all the really femmy boys and lacking personality girls, as well as the absolute basic bitches of the world, are fawning over. Whichever pop star that is at the moment, that's who they try to turn her into.
This is about being gay, obviously using being a mutant as a metaphor. In fact, when she arrives in the book, she's in a metaphorical closet and they open it up and she comes out. But then later, because that wasn't on the nose enough, she does tell the entire crowd, I'm mutant and I'm out and proud. And it's just so heavy-handed and it's so over the top over and over and over again that Jason Loo and Marvel Comics only think about Marvel and certainly Dazzler as an LGBTQ allegory now.
That's all it is. I mean, we've seen it happen in a number of books already. I mean, it was obviously that way throughout the entire Krakoa era. Hence the reason why they turned like half of the X-Men gay, bi, or queer, or pansexual. That's where we're at. She's singing about how she's out and proud. You know, I remember Dazzler of the 80s that was just singing like love songs and rock songs. I remember her playing fucking dive bars in the Australian outback. She became a joke in the Marvel universe. And I don't mean that as for fans. I mean, like, her career had utterly cratered and collapsed. And she was a laughingstock in the fictional music industry. And somehow, some way, for absolutely no explanation, she is now the biggest star on the planet again.
Which does belie the story itself, because they're saying everybody in mass, in unison, hates mutants, yet she's still the most popular pop star in the entire world.
You can't simultaneously sell me that mutants are hated and feared and nobody likes them, and also having her fucking sell out the goddamn Staples Center in LA. You can't sell me those two things simultaneously. They are contradicting one another. She should be struggling to find a venue that are willing to host her.
No, there's nothing believable about this comic book. It's so over the top. My favorite page is the social media reaction to Dazzler. We have one fan that wants to look just like her. We have a boy that's become apparently an anime twink character just because he's a Dazzler fan. Of course, we've got the alt-right. I'm surprised they don't have red baseball caps on, but mutants are sinners. But then we also have gay. Is it alien lesbians, or is one of them a human, one of them an alien? It's something of that nature. And then, of course, the coup de grace, we have a drag queen that is so ready. She's like a disco ball, honey.
Well, yeah, you got RuPaul at the end. Maybe it's that. Oh, wait. Remember that Shade drag queen character from Cena Grace's Iceman that had the fucking little fan thing that could, like, throw people into the darkness or something? That's who that looks like. I wonder if we're going to get a return of that terrible goddamn character, because it was the one recurring character throughout the Cena Grace Iceman run. That social media page was, beautiful.
The first lady saying, I'm showing out and proud tonight as a mutant ally and Dazzler's #1 fan, the twink anime boy. Girl, I'm so proud of you. Sold out shows around the world. It's a good time to be a mutant. Is it really? Because I've been told it's the worst time in the world to be a mutant, yet she's still selling out everything and is grooming children.
Yes. If you hated LGBTQIA plus characters, would you write this any fucking different?
No.
I wouldn't. Every single thing he does is a caricature. They're simultaneously the repressed minority and fabulous and unable to struggle whatsoever. Even the one thing that should be a struggle in this book, it doesn't even make her break sweat or go off beat.
I think the worst thing about this is the characterization and presentation of Domino. First of all, her haircut is fucking awful.
Yeah.
But then you definitely get the impression that while Domino is Dazzler's personal security guard, as is all the rest of her team, like they get in a weird position. You're like, oh, these two are clearly lovers.
Fucking, yeah. And suddenly now Domino's a lesbian. There's a whole scene in here with Domino giving Dazzler fight training. Are we forgetting that Dazzler was an active member of the X-Men for a decade in the late 70s through the late 80s? And then after she went through the Siege Perilous, she ended up in Mojo World with fucking Longshot for a next decade. She's been fighting forever. She does not need a fight trainer, especially not Domino, whose power is to get lucky.
She's getting lucky, all right. I think that's the reason that she hired her. That wasn't pleasant. I feel bad for Domino. Domino's a cool character. Domino deserves better. A not cool character that probably doesn't deserve better, but certainly doesn't go along with the story that Jason Loo is trying to tell here, is Shark Girl is the drummer. Dazzler is an out and proud mutant that's headlining a worldwide tour that sold out the entire world. Her entire roadie staff and like PR staff and everybody that she's hired are also mutants, including her drummer, Shark Girl. But it might be bad publicity if she goes out there looking like a shark, so they get like an image-inducing collar that we saw obviously on Nightcrawler back in the day, so people won't know she's a shark. Are they repressed minority or are they a worldwide sensation? You can't be both. And continuously, this comic book contradicts itself over and over and over again. And who gives a shit about Shark Girl?
Yeah, not only that, but like the PR ladies, like it might hurt the tour. The tour's already sold out worldwide. She can't hurt the ticket sales by being a shark in the back of the stage because the tour's already sold out. The whole plot here of, oh, we need to hide your mutation, but Dazzler's mutation, oh, it's getting back to that Dazzler's an acceptable, quote unquote, passable mutant. They pulled the same shit in Jed McKay's X-Men with Cyclops and Magic in the first issue with that. Well, I'm passable. Like it's a fucking trans allegory. You know what? Fuck you people. I'm tired of this shit. Fuck
but you need
Jason
more oppression, Doc. It's oppression for the sake of showing oppression, even if it doesn't match the story.
And they need to do it just so that she has something to get really depressed about and then overcome later at the climax of, oh God, don't make me say this, but the worst part of this entire comic, Jason Loo's song lyrics that are throughout the entire fucking comic. These lyrics to a song that he wrote to shove into Dazzler's mouth. First, the one about Angel and the one that was called Out and Proud, because you needed a more on-the-nose fucking song. So that at the climax of the second song's lyrics, Shark Girl's image inducer can get broken. She'll be the shark on stage, and everybody's going to realize that she's actually just the greatest drummer in the world, and it's a Shark Girl. This is the most low-hanging fucking fruit type of overcoming adversity and oppression writing that I could have possibly ever imagined. This book should not be more than a one-shot.
Oh, no, it shouldn't even be a one-shot. It shouldn't have got produced. But you are right. The worst thing about the book is the battle, if you want to call it that. Scorpia shows up during the first song. She's singing about Angel, and the lyrics are absolutely terrible. She's not allowed to use her powers, but she might use her powers, and it's just her singing around Scorpia while she tries to hit her and obviously knocks off the collar from Shark Girl, while the whole crowd just cheers her on. How did she defeat Scorpio, by the way? Because I'm still confused over this.
She's not allowed to use her powers offensively in this. So she was able to use them defensively. And most of it was her just ballerina dancing around to stay out of the way. And she was able to make little like light shows, but not allowed to use lasers.
But how did she win? She just like passes out. Was it because she got too tired?
I think she just literally tired her out, like a puppy that just got worn out because you played with it for too long. Dazzler's still going, still not. She doesn't miss a single word. She doesn't get off beat at all. But apparently, she manages to just tire her out because Scorpia's like standing there, like doubled over, like huh. And then she attacks again, and I don't know, did she give her like a fucking epileptic seizure or something?
I don't think she has a seizure. I think she just falls down and takes a nap.
Is this like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee shit? Like let him punch himself out?
She rope-a-doped her.
Yeah, I guess.
There you go. But it's one of the worst action scenes I've seen in comic books in a really long time. It's executed at such an embarrassing level, especially with the lyrics going on at the same time, that you're just like, fuck me. People got together and decided this was a good idea.
And then again, the social media manager, who actually is a character that I used to like way back in the day, Wind Rider. Yeah, it was Wind Rider. She's just talking about, oh, look, it's already made the front page of the Frontline Mutant newspaper online thing, and it was great. You gave mutants a couple % bump in our popularity polls by doing it this way and not being offensive, just being defensive, and go out there and sing your Out and Proud song, because that's not the most cliche shit I have ever heard in my entire life.
This comic book reading was an experience. It was a painful experience. In a week of painful experiences, there were so many bad comic books of the week. You know, I will say I think Spirits of Vengeance is probably a worse written, scripted out, like plotted comic book. But I would say, like, just as a reading experience, I think Dazzler takes the cake as the biggest piece of shit this week. I give it 1 out of 5, 2 out of 10. The art isn't completely terrible, but the story itself and everything in it does detract levels from the art. And the fact that he had to illustrate that stupid song dance fight thing on there for like 14 pages.
It actually gets worse than that, because the last page of the book is the full lyrics, like the liner notes on a CD back in the 90s. So if you really want to read the most embarrassingly bad song that I believe might have ever been written, pretend this comic does not exist, because it shouldn't exist.
Tom Report should schedule a press conference and apologize to the world, and he can say, listen, that was my bad. That book should have never gotten out there. It sucks. Yeah. Honestly, it's an embarrassment not only to Marvel fans, but it's embarrassment to the LGBTQ community. It's an embarrassment to T-Swift. It's an embarrassment to Lady Gaga. It's an embarrassment to anybody that was inspiration for it or inspired to read it or write it or anything. It's embarrassing across the board. There's nothing like salvageable about this book.
This was bad. This is less than a star. They owe me 5 stars for reading this book. In fact,
Jim said when we were reviewing it, he said, I feel like we should have the Adam Sandler, everyone is dumber for having heard that thing. And I was like, no, I want the Simon and Garfunkel, Hello Darkness, My Old Friend to come on, because this thing was awful.
No comic has made me want to die as much as this. And it's also never made me want to be blind, so that I didn't have to read it, so that I didn't have to see it, and maybe even deaf, so I didn't even need to hear that it existed. If I could have been Helen Kellered instead of reading this, I would have preferred that.
There you go. This was a really bad book. I do think it's unquestionably the worst of the X-Men, from the X-Men titles. It's worse than Exceptional X-Men. It's worse than X-Factor. It's worse than NYX. It's there's another book or two that are out there that were really, really bad. Of course, Doc and I are going to edit this down, or I'm going to edit it down for YouTube's. But if you want the full review that did go about 26, 27 minutes or something like that, you do need to visit us on Think Critical Patreon. You support the Dok's right tier. You go to Dok Unfiltered. You get this a day and a half early. There's a link in the video description. And you get all of Dot's thoughts unedited because he's too hot to handle for YouTube. And he certainly gave us too much information.
Yeah, I always do.